Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you possibly one of the greatest Telecasters that exists. Feast your eyes upon this absolute beauty. This thing needs absolutely no introduction, but I'm going to give it one anyways. This is the prototype, aka the number 2, the studio Tele, the pencil, some may say. But this Telecaster here is just an absolutely unique design and build, and I will tell you why when I tell you a little bit about this guitar. So let me plug this in, play it a little bit, let you hear how this bad boy sounds. I am running this through the Helix, an LA2A studio compressor, and then it's going through a JC120 amp model, and that's pretty much it. I've got it dynamic ambience reverb just turned kind of really low just to give it some room, and then the only 2 distortions that I'll really be using is the Minotaur, which is basically a Klon overdrive, and then the Ratatouille distortion, which is essentially a rat pedal. So that's it. This thing frickin' rips, and I love it. It is truly a one of one. I don't know any other Telecaster that is exactly like this. This thing is pretty much crafted from top to bottom to be the ultimate studio machine. And I will tell you a little bit about why it is that way, some of the decisions I made putting it together to make it that way, and just overall, you know, kind of the story behind this guitar. This thing is already pretty much built, so there's not going to be a montage time lapse of me putting things together because I already did it. So, and to be honest, when I kind of tell you about the components of this guitar, I didn't really have to do that much. The story with this guitar goes way back to last year. And it starts with another Telecaster in which 0 of the components off the original Telecaster are on this. So I don't know if it's like that, whatever you call it, the ship where you replace all the pieces of wood and the bolts. Is it still the same ship? It's one of those scenarios. So last summer, my fiance and I go to the guitar store, and I'm gandering up and down the wall. And at this point, I've never owned a Telecaster before. So I find this nice black Affinity Series Squire Telecaster Deluxe, and I tell her I like it, and she goes up to the desk, tells them to take it down off the wall, and she buys it for me. So I officially have my first Telecaster. So a couple months go by, and I'm looking online on eBay, looking at necks and parts and things like that. And so real quick, one of the things that Fender does, if a part from a guitar does not pass quality control, they will put it to these like online auctions or sell them off essentially. And if there's any sort of flaw in the neck, like this one here, this is from a Brent Mason custom edition Telecaster or something. So these are like thousands of dollars worth guitars. So if there's any sort of minor imperfection in it, you know, it's got to be perfect to justify that price. So for this one, I see this neck go up online at auction, and it's completely unfinished. So there's no finish on the front. It's all bare wood like the back is right now. The nut is uncut completely. There's no tuners. It's just basically cut and fretted, and that's it. And I'm looking at the pictures up and down, trying to find like any flaws with it. And the only thing that I see is this right here. There's a little tiny black smudge right by the 12th fret or 13th fret here. And that's it. That's the only problem, or, you know, the only minor cosmetic problem with the whole thing. So I put a bid on it. I end up winning this neck. So again, this is a made in USA Fender Brent Mason edition Telecaster neck. So when I got it in, I was thinking I'll do a nice like coat of poly for the finish on the fretboard and on the headstock to keep it nice. So, you know, nitro is typically the more sought after finish because it's what, you know, as you're playing, it kind of wears down, gives it that broken in look and feel. It's what they used to use back in the day. And then they transitioned to poly, which is basically like a layer of plastic, which is essentially indestructible. So you could play this guitar for 12 hours a day for 50 years and it'd probably look the same as when it rolled off the lot, you know, unless you dropped it or something like that. You're not going to get that typical like play-in wear that you would get. But on a neck and a headstock, it's actually kind of ideal because you want to keep it relatively nice. I did that finish myself, and basically I just taped it off. And I think the way you do it, I use like a water-based poly, and you just put a really thin coat on, and then you let it sit for I think like an hour or so. You come back and do another layer, and you just repeat that process for like 7 or 8 layers. And even after 7 or 8 coats, I mean, it's still a very, very thin layer of finish that's on there. Just enough to kind of protect it. I got these tuners, these, I think KAISH or KAISH, I don't know what they are. These locking tuners here. Slap those on there, and oh yeah. And then I also did like this. This is basically like a matte black vinyl wrap that I cut and then slap the logo on there. So when Fender auctions off these guitar necks, they are serial numbered, just like a normal guitar neck would be. But if they're going to, you know, if it doesn't pass quality control, they'll take the last like 2 or 3 numbers of the serial number off, they'll like scrape it off, and they'll stamp it with a real small used wood stamp. So I just kind of covered that up with this vinyl wrap because also it looks cool. For the nut, I got these really cheap like nut filers and did these by hand, and getting them to the right like height, you know, the right string height so it like plays right and intonates right and everything. That was a real pain, but I think I did a pretty good job doing it for my first time. And I got this neck all squared away, ready to go, and I ended up swapping it out and putting it on that Telecaster Deluxe body that I had that was a Squire. So the neck felt amazing, but then the body felt like really lightweight. It felt unbalanced, I'll say. So I started looking around, you know, as I do on Marketplace, and I come across this 2023, I think, Squire baritone custom Telecaster. The thing looked super nice in the pictures, so I ended up driving to this guy's house to take a look at it. And this guy, he built custom guitars himself. He took really good care of the guitars that he had, and he pulled the thing out of the box, basically. He ordered it brand new, and it looked like it was completely untouched. It was in pristine condition. And the quality of those Squire, like I think it was like the Squire Classic Vibe Baritone Custom Telecaster, I think was the actual name of it. But the feel of it was just perfect. It felt like playing more of a high-end Fender of anything. So I knew my intentions at the time were to sort of steal the body off of that guitar and put it on this neck, and then use the baritone neck on another guitar, which I'll get to that later. But I kind of told him my plans, and he was like, oh, you should keep it as a baritone for a while because it's really nice, which I did, and I played it for a few months like that, which I really enjoyed it. But then when I made this swap, it was definitely worth it. And one of the reasons being is between a baritone Telecaster and a regular Telecaster, they're essentially the exact same body. The only difference is the neck and the scale length. So baritones have a longer scale length, a longer neck. You put thicker gauge strings on it and you could play lower notes. It's basically all that makes it a baritone guitar. But for this Squire baritone, some of the things that they did where they took some steps to kind of lean into that lower end sounds that you get because it's supposed to be a baritone, which is sort of contradictory to what you would think of a stereotypical Telecaster. So normally Telecasters are known for being twangy, having a lot of high end, not really known for their deep lows, but a baritone Telecaster is sort of the opposite, where, you know, for a baritone guitar, you want to bring out that low end. So for the wood that they used in this body, it's similar to like a mahogany. It's like a lightweight, very resonant wood that brings out the low end. I think it's nyatoh, or I don't know how you say it, but it is essentially a mahogany substitute wood. Actually, here, I'll read you what Squire has to say about this particular body. So they say, this solid body hits low and heavy. A robust nyatoh body forms the backbone of this baritone's bassy breadth. This tone wood is often used for its similarities to mahogany, making this ideal for a powerful mid-range, bringing out the full heft of a baritone's oral offerings. 2 alnico single-coil pickups, wired to a sturdy 3-way switch, are anchored to this lighter weight body, allowing for comfortable play and reliable resonance without losing that desired low end. That being said, this body is built to bring out the low end. These pickups are Fender designed alnico pickups, and they're basically top of the line pickups. It's got really nice hardware. I mean, this thing is built to be a baritone. We've got heavier, thicker gauge strings, so really good sturdy hardware on this thing. With having a Telecaster that would typically shine in high end, you know, twangy sort of playing, contrasted with this body that really brings out the low end and resonance in it, those two things combined create this very almost perfect Telecaster sound. And that's why I say this is pretty much the perfect studio Telecaster. So you have a made in USA maple neck. So the maple fretboard is going to give you a little bit more punchiness, a little bit more attack. And then the back of the neck is unfinished. So you've got a nice feel, natural wood kind of grip to it, which is just enough resistance to dial in exactly what you're doing. It feels great to play. And then you combine that with sort of this bass-centered body that has this beautiful satin or matte black finish with this nice like cream colored or vintage white colored stripes around the edges here. And it just looks incredible. And one other cool thing about this too is there's no contours cut into the body. It's all same width all the way through. So sometimes they'll have like sort of like a contour cut in here so it's like more comfortable when you're playing. But this is just like a solid block. And I actually really like that. But overall, I mean, this thing just feels amazing and it plays amazing. And I could not think of a more ideal Telecaster than this one here. Anything else that I would do to this guitar would take away from its Telecasterness, and I just don't want to do that. So in my eyes, I think that this guitar is quite perfect. And if I do change anything, what it's probably going to be is maybe upgrading the bridge, just because it does have the 3-point adjustment on it. So basically 2 strings share one saddle, and that makes it a little bit tougher to really dial in that intonation. And for this being like a studio tool, I want it to be like super dialed in and almost pitch perfect. So basically getting a more precise bridge, that's it. But yeah, what else can I say about this thing? Nothing really. I mean, there's just nothing left to say. I mean, just look at her. You know what I mean? Like, what can you even say about this? How perfect it is. I love it. I absolutely love this guitar. So there you have it. This is the #2 Telecaster, the pencil, the prototype, the absolute hog. Well, it's not actually the hog. I have another guitar named the hog, which I'll get to. But technically it could be, because this is sort of a mahogany substitute body. But anyways, this thing is just an absolute machine. I could not be more excited to show this thing off and play this. And yeah, this one, I'll be keeping this guitar for a very, very long time because I just love this thing so much. Thank you.